and saying it's absolutely dangerous for the government to determine which speech is okay and which is not. What's your reaction to Ted Cruz?
Trump's like, get me out of here.
Carr is an incredible American patriot with courage. You know, it used to be, I remember in the old days that
Trump doesn't answer.
Networks would have to get licensed, relicensed, and it was always a big deal. You know, they had to show honesty and integrity. When you have a network, again, I'll use the same numbers, whether it's 90 or 94 and 97, all different numbers, but when you have networks that give somebody 97% bad publicity or 94% bad publicity.
Trump punts. Trump totally punts talking about what Ted Cruz said, because Ted Cruz just came out with the truth. Now, this is interesting. Ted Cruz slamming the FCC for threatening ABC and Disney thereby for not taking action against Kimmel, which of course then they did. Ted Cruz, obviously a Republican, slamming the FCC. Let's listen to see what he says.
Kimmel will be fired. I think you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. And again, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at. And again, we may ultimately be called to be a judge on that.
No.
That's a quote from the FCC that they just played. Let's now listen to the reaction of theirs.
No. Look, I like Brendan Carr. He's a good guy. He's the chairman of the FCC. I work closely with him. But what he said there is dangerous as hell.
Yes.
For people that are listening, because this is going to be, quote, controversial, so I want to make sure we explain it clearly. When you say no and it's dangerous, explain and run this out, the slippery slope that this can open, so that people understand why we're saying it.
So the Federal Communication Commission is in charge of granting broadcast licenses. So ABC, NBC, CBS, they have licenses from the FCC. It is true that under statute, they're required to be in the public interest.
Yep.
What he is saying is Jimmy Kimmel was lying. That's true. He was lying. And his lying...
I obviously dispute that. We made a whole video disputing that it was a lie. Not to side with Jimmy Kimmel. He made insensitive comments about Charlie Kirk at a terrible time. So bad timing and insensitive comments. And it was stupid what Kimmel did. But he didn't lie. Now, I encourage you and implore you to watch my breakdown of why I say this, because I think people who don't watch my full breakdown of why I say that don't get it. And what we did is we did a logical and fallacy and fact-based breakdown of what Kimmel said. Now, I encourage you to watch the whole thing, but I'll give you a very quick sneak preview. Kimmel said, long story short, people spent the weekend claiming that Robinson was anything other than one of them. Desperately so, right? All the amplifiers and modifications of that, all that doesn't really matter. What matters is the crux of the argument is spent the weekend claiming that he is anything other than one of them, which means he's basically saying he's not MAGA. But you have to remember, calling somebody not MAGA does not equal calling them MAGA. The opinion that comes out of this is, well, he was implying that they're MAGA. No, that assumes there are only two options. That's like saying, Donald Trump spent the whole weekend claiming he's not white. And then somebody going, our fearless black leader. Wait, no, there are more choices. This is what's called the logical fallacy of a false dilemma, which is an either-or fallacy. And it's the fallacy of, it's either this or that. No, you don't have to be, if somebody is cheering that somebody is not MAGA, it could be that they're deranged. It could be that they're a Zionist, or they're part of the Nazi party, or they're part of some other party. That doesn't make them MAGA just because, somebody was arguing that they're not MAGA. So I don't think there was a lie there, and you could watch my full video breaking that down, but we'll keep going to see what Ted Cruz says, because what Carr does is very bad for free speech in America and for capitalism in America.
To the American people is not in the public interest, and so he threatens explicitly, we're going to cancel ABC's license. We're going to take them off the air, so basically, ABC cannot broadcast anymore.
Yes.
And I got to say, he threatens it. He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. And I got to say, look, I understand. Jimmy Kimmel has mocked me so many times I cannot count. The corporate media, they are dishonest. They are liars. I hate what Jimmy Kimmel said. I am thrilled that he was fired. But let me tell you, if the government gets in the business of saying,
what you
we
can't
like
say
what you, the media, have said, we're going to ban you from the airwaves if you don't say what we like, that will end up bad for conservatives. It reminds me of, you and I are both fans of The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
J.R.R. Tolkien. It reminds me of like the Ring of Power. And it is so attractive. It's sort of like conservatives are saying, wait, if we have government, we have power. Yeah. We can ban the media. Let me tell you what will happen. Going down this road, there will come a time when a Democrat wins again.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what we talked about in my video this morning. We literally broke this down in my full 33-minute detailed video on why what Jimmy said was disgusting and he's a dumbass and we can hate him for it. I did also break down why it's not a lie. Now, Ted Cruz doesn't do that here because if you're aligned with the right, you have to say it was a lie. Now, people are like, but it wasn't a lie. Okay? Just to say that, they spent the weekend arguing that he's not MAGA, of course, because that boosts up the MAGA party. It unites the party to get more votes for midterm. That's not a lie. That's literally what everybody did after the Charlie Kirk shooting. Oh my gosh, this is so terrible. We have to come together. We need to grow the party. We need to donate more to political campaigns and to security, and we need to grow the power of the MAGA movement more. This won't stop the MAGA movement. That's literally what everybody did. So Jimmy stated a fact. Yes, he was not MAGA. Correct. Nobody ever implied this guy was MAGA. All weekend long, he's trans and mental and a psycho, radical leftist. Like, that's all we heard all weekend long. So Jimmy was right to make that observation.
Wins the White House.
They will get rid of every...
Right, but the next politicians, if the FCC is allowed to make these threats where they say, hey, we could do this the easy way or the hard way, we might have to rule on this, and then all of a sudden Bob Iger hears about this, and the staff at Disney are like, do we really want to risk this for our shareholders? Do we really want to be in a fight with the FCC when we have $6+ billion merger and acquisition deals pending that require FCC approval? Nah. So you fire him. That's wrong.
FCC.
That's a conservative. They'll get rid of every podcast. They'll get rid of everybody on YouTube.
They will silence us. They will use this power, and they will use it ruthlessly.
Yes,
and right. That is dangerous. And by the way, in the Biden administration, they tried to go after and revoke Fox's license because they didn't like, and they say...
Correct. And the same thing is the kind of censorship that you saw with Meta and Twitter before it was X. It's all the same, and it was all driven by the left-leaning folks in power then.
Everything they say on Fox is hate speech. I'm sure they say everything you and I say is hate speech, is misinformation. Sure. They've defined anything counter to the leftist narrative as misinformation. Now, we just talked about Jimmy Kimmel was lying. But you know what? It's interesting. Brendan said, well, gosh, they slandered Charlie Kirk and his family. You know what? If they slandered him, there's already a remedy. There's a remedy of defamation. ABC could be sued. And by the way, you get a defamation lawsuit, you could pay millions of dollars. Let that process play out. I think it is unbelievably dangerous for government to put itself in the position of saying, we're going to decide what speech we like and what we don't, and we're going to threaten to take you off air if we don't like what you're saying. And it might feel good right now to threaten Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
But when it is used to silence every conservative in America, we will regret it. And so, again, I like Brendan Carr, but we should not be in this business. We should denounce it. It's fine to say what Jimmy Kimmel said was deplorable, it was disgraceful, and he should be off air, but we shouldn't be threatening government power to force him off air. That's a real mistake.
Ted Cruz, absolutely amazing. W take. Like I say, my goal is, if everybody hates me, it means I'm always focused on the truth, because I'm not a tribalist. I poop on Biden. I poop on Trump. I poop on, like this morning, I used to poop on that Mirren guy, Steve Mirren or whatever, the new Fed guy that, Trump shilled into there. He's actually good. He's better than I thought, And so I'll change my opinion if different facts and data and commentary come out. But this Ted Cruz comment was a win. It is a 100% in alignment with what I said about the danger of the FCC this morning in a 33-minute video where I broke all of this down in detail with the clips and the recordings. This corroborates exactly what I warned about this morning, saying this is very dangerous for our First Amendment rights to free speech, because it's not about now, it's about what happens in the future. Good job.
Knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.